So yay. Today, then, we will have a low mat practice. We are going to be working on the mat. So any props that we normally use for down here, I have my blocks, I have my bolster. Feel free to have a blanket if you like as well. It's going to be no kneeling. Everything is either going to be seated on our belly or on our back. So we have lots of options. And of course, you could also practice in bed if you wanted, but we're going to be on the mat. So we're going to start by finding a comfortable position for our grounding. If we want to be reclined, we can be reclined, or we can be comfortably seated. And we'll start by taking a few deep breaths, maybe in through the nose and out through the mouth if that's helpful. Maybe releasing on the exhale with a sigh or vocalization. Doing our best to let go of the day so far. And we can take as many breaths like this as we need. And whenever we're ready, we can find our way back to our natural breath, whatever that feels like for us. We'll take a few moments to sit with the breath, to notice the inhale and the exhale. We might notice the passage of air into the body, noticing where we feel the sensation of the breath on the inhale. Maybe we feel it through the sinus or the shoulders or the ribs or the belly. There's no wrong answers. And then when we're ready, we can begin to switch our awareness to the exhale. So maybe we notice sensations like softness. As we start to release, we might notice the relaxation of certain body parts. It's going to look different for all of us. And we'll take the next minute or so and continue to watch the breath in whatever way makes sense to us. We might let the awareness spread throughout the body. We might take a moment to notice anywhere that we're feeling a bit of tension or stress, anywhere we need to be particularly careful with or cautious with today. And we might start to notice anywhere that feels like it wants to move or stretch, so that we can give ourselves everything we need today. And in line with this, we might choose to set an intention or a sankalpa for our practice, a purpose, anything that we feel is speaking to us in the moment. And if nothing is speaking to us, that's okay too. Whenever we're ready, we might start to bring movement back into the body. So if we're reclined, we might roll onto the right or left side. If we're seated, we might start to rock, maybe back and forth, side to side. We might bring movement into the fingers, the toes, the head, the neck. anything that feels good here. And whenever we're ready, we might gently blink the eyes open if we haven't already. And we're going to start today with some gentle movement just to wake up some of the joints. So I'm going to start by stretching the legs out into a wide-legged position. And I'm going to come into a little bit of movement through the feet and toes. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to point my toes away from me. And then I'm going to pull them back. So as I point them away, I might start to curl the toes under, kind of flexing the bottoms of the feet, and then bringing them back, pointing the toes towards the body. We'll do this maybe 2 more times, going at our own pace. Beautiful. And then finally, if we like, we might bring some rotations into the ankles. So it doesn't really matter what direction we start in because we're going to go both ways. And then we'll reverse it, maybe about 5 in total. Beautiful. From here, we'll start with a forward fold since we're already in the position. So if our hamstrings are really tight, we can leave the feet kind of calm and relaxed. If we want more sensation through the hamstrings, we might pull the toes up towards the ceiling. We'll bring the belly between the legs and slowly hinge forward. We can walk our hands down the legs. If we like, we can use our blocks, or we can bring our hands to the floor, whatever feels good today. We're going to be here for about a minute, making note of where we might feel tight. Maybe sending a bit of air, a bit of release to that area. When we're ready, we might walk the hands back towards the body, slowly pressing up. Beautiful. If we like, we can leave the legs where they are, or we can move it into any other position that feels good. We're going to come up through the upper body. Move my blocks to the side for a moment. I'm going to start with some arm circles. So I'm going to have the arms down by the sides. Inhale, reaching up, and exhale down. So if we like, we can add the neck in, inhaling up and exhaling down. Beautiful. We'll do 2 more. And then when we come up, we're going to stay up this time, reaching as if we're in upward salute. We might bring a small back bend, rolling the shoulders back, gazing upward. Be careful with seated, going too far into the back bend. Sometimes that can throw us off balance. Really gentle at heart opening here. And from the arms raised, we might see if we can bring the arms down through cactus in our back bend. Just brings a little bit more sensation. Beautiful. And then we might bring the elbows into the sides of the body, bringing the palms forward into a low cactus. A couple more breaths here. When we're ready, we might slowly straighten the spine and release the arms down. Beautiful. So we're going to bring just a little bit of movement into the fingers and hands. We're going to start with some flicks. So we're going to start with clenched and then flick the fingers out. We'll go back and forth. And just going nice and fast. And then we can shake it out. Bringing the palms back up, we're going to point the fingers towards the ceiling and then down towards the floor. Just for a little bit of wrist movement here. Beautiful. And then again, we can shake it out and release down. I'm going to do a little bit of lateral side stretch, and we're going to have a few options that we can choose from. So I'm going to bring my blocks to my side because I'm up on my bolster, but you can also bring your hands directly down to the mat. I'm going to start by grounding down through the sit bones. If I like, I can kind of pull the flesh away from the bun if that's helpful to feel a bit more grounded. And then I'm going to start by bringing the right hand down to the right side. I'll bring the left arm out and up. I might reach straight up, and then if that feels good, coming over towards the right side. Taking a few deep breaths here. Just noticing where we're feeling sensation. Now we can stay here, or we have the option to bring the hand shoulder back, shining the heart up towards the ceiling, gazing upward if that feels good. And then we'll come back through neutral. Again, we can stay here, or we can bring the shoulder and hand forward, gazing down, maybe bringing the heart space towards the ground. And just noticing maybe the difference in how that feels. Beautiful. We'll come back through center, reach the left arm up, bringing it down, grounding down on the left side. And then we'll reach the right arm up. Option to come towards the left. So again, we can stay here, or we can open the heart up, bringing the arm and hand behind us, gazing up. We might come back through center, bringing the arm and shoulder forward, gazing down. You might notice the difference between the two sides of the body. And then when we're ready, we'll come back through center, reaching up and back over. We'll take a moment here just to let the shoulders release. And we're going to come into another folded position, this time folded Baddha Konasana. So I have my feet together and my knees apart. Of course, I can have my block beneath my knees if I like, but I'm really going to make sure that my belly is between the legs so I have lots of space for my fold. So as I begin to hinge forward, again, I can walk my hands down my body to the floor, or I can use my blocks. And we're only going to come as far forward as we're comfortable with. Taking a few deep breaths here. Remember, we can breathe through the back body if it feels a bit congested through the belly. We can also open the legs as wide apart as we like. We can turn this into another wide-legged forward fold if we prefer. Beautiful. When we're ready, we'll start to slowly press up. Coming up through seated. We're going to enter into a twist. I'm going to bring the right hand behind the right bum. Option to bring the left hand against the inner line of the left leg, or I can cross it across the body as I open the shoulders up towards the right, and maybe bring the chin towards the right shoulder. We're going to spend about 6 breaths here, taking our time. Maybe doing our best on our exhale to release and relax and let go. Beautiful. When we're ready, on our inhale, we can release the arms, gently float forward. We can take any movement we like. We'll do the same thing on the opposite side. So left hand behind the left bum, right hand either against the inner line of the right leg or across the body as we open the shoulders, gazing towards the left this time. When we're ready on our inhale, releasing the arms gently, floating forward. Beautiful. We're going to come through a few head and neck stretches as well. So we'll bring the right ear over the right shoulder. And remember, we can change up the leg position whenever we like here. Taking a few deep breaths, letting the left shoulder be heavy. And if we like, we can stay here, or we can bring the the left arm out to the left side. So it's in a line diagonally from the top of the head down to the fingertips. We might bring the chin just slightly in towards the heart space. And at any point, we can stay where we are, but if we like, we can also bring the fingertips up towards the ceiling. We might notice a little increase in sensation, maybe a little bit of tingling. As long as it's not painful, then we can go ahead and continue. If it is painful, step back a bit. And then we have the option to rotate the fingers towards the space behind us. Again, if that shoulder's crept up, we might let the left shoulder be heavy again. I know for me, it slowly starts to creep up. Beautiful. Then we'll bring the fingers back up towards the ceiling. We'll release the flex from the wrist, release the hand to the lap or side, and then we can raise the right hand and gently assist the head back to neutral. Beautiful. Take a moment, any movement, and then we'll do the opposite side. So left ear over the left shoulder, right shoulder nice and heavy. On our exhale, doing our best to release anywhere that feels tight. And then we might bring the right arm out into our diagonal line. We might bring the chin a little bit in towards the heart space. And then when we're ready, we might bring the fingers up towards the ceiling. When we're ready, we might rotate the fingers towards the space behind us. Letting the shoulder release if we've let it creep up a little bit. Ooh. And this is where I remember this is my cell phone hand. And then when we're ready, reaching the fingers back up, releasing the flex through the wrist, hand back to its resting position. And we can use the left hand to assist the head back up through center. Beautiful. Take a few moments here, shake anything out that needs to come out. And we're going to move into a warrior two flow from a seated position. So I'm seated on my bolster. You can also be seated directly on the mat, whatever's most comfortable. We're going to start in our Baddha Konasana, just so that we have, well, a starting place, really. So as we come through the positions, we're going to have one bent, just as we do in our standing variation, and one leg straight. So we might want to have our blocks handy, just so that we have options if we like them. I'm going to go ahead and start with the right leg coming out towards the right side, so that this side of the leg kind of looks like it's in a wide-legged forward fold, and this leg is in Baddha Konasana, so kind of like a half butterfly. And we're going to ground down through the sit bones, find length through the spine. We'll bring the arms through heart center and then reach them out to the sides. We're going to gaze over the left fingertip and we're going to find our warrior two. We'll take a few deep breaths here. And we're going to transition from here into our exalted warrior. So I'm going to flip the front hand so the palm is up. And then I'm going to reach the front hand up while I bring the back hand down. I can bring it down to a block, down to the mat, or down to my leg as I reach the arm up. If I like, I can gaze up towards the hand, towards the elbow. Lots of options here for our exalted warrior. Beautiful. So we're going to transition, coming back through our original warrior two. And then we're going to come into our extended side angle. So for this, we can bring the forearm down to the front thigh, or we can bring the hand down to a block. We're going to hinge forward, reaching the back arm up. So we can leave it straight up, or we can swing it around by the ear for extended side angle. Here too, you can play a bit with foot position. I like to point my foot here. I don't know, for some reason I just feel like I get more sensation that way, but it's totally up to you. And then we have the option to either come through the sequence again, or we can flow. I'm going to choose to flow. So I'm going to reach the arm up, come back all the way through warrior two, down with the back hand, up with the front for exalted, and then back the way we just came. And we'll go for 3 more. So inhaling up, taking our time, exhaling down. Whatever feels good here, going at a pace that works for us. And this is going to be my last flow. And whenever we finish, we'll come back through warrior and release the arms down. Beautiful. So from here, we're going to switch sides. So I'm going to bring back through butterfly, and then I'll bring the left leg out. So if we like and we know we want to use our props, we might set them up in a way that feels comfortable, knowing we can adjust. So again, I'm going to reset, grounding through the sit bones, length through the spine, bringing the arms out, gazing over the right fingertips this time, holding here in warrior two or Virabhadrasana 2. When we're ready, we'll flip the front hand, reach the front hand up, back hand down for exalted warrior. And remember, we don't have to do the same thing we did on the opposite side. Beautiful. We'll come back through warrior two and continue into extended side angle. So bringing the front forearm to the thigh, we can bring the hand to the mat or arm to the block, reaching the back arm up or around the ear, whatever feels good. And then we have our option to flow. Inhale all the way up through exalted warrior. Exhale, extended side angle. Again, 3 more here if we like. At a pace that feels good. And this will be my last flow. And back through warrior two and release the arms down. Beautiful. So from here, we'll be making our way down to the mat. We're going to start on our bellies in Sphinx, and then we'll work our way through a few different postures from there. So I like to keep my blocks up near the head so that I have the option to use them if I like. Beautiful. So once we're in position, we're going to start in Sphinx if that's comfortable for us. So I'm going to bring my elbows beneath the shoulders. I'm going to lift the feet, point the toes, and place the tops of the feet against the mat. And take a moment here. If I like, I can look down, or I can look straight ahead, whatever feels comfortable. Remember, if this feels like an intense back bend, we can also bring the hands forward a bit. Beautiful. So from Sphinx, we're going to press up into Seal. So much like Cobra, we're going to bring the hands against the mat if they're not there already, ground down through the hands, begin to extend the arms as we shine the heart forward, gazing upward if we like, and we're going to hold here. When we're ready, we might bring the elbows back down. Now, if we like, we can come through Sphinx again, or we can bring Seal again, or we can bring the hands beneath the shoulders, bring the elbows in towards the body, and we'll be set up for Cobra. So if we like, we can lift the chin on the inhale, shine the heart forward, leaving the arms slightly bent for Baby Cobra. Exhaling down. Or on our inhale, we can press up, extending the arms till they're almost straight, coming through Cobra. Again, we can look straight ahead, we can look up, whatever feels good here. Exhaling down. Beautiful. We'll take a moment here in low staff. We can bring our hands into fists, staff them on top of each other, rest the chin on that, or we can use a block if we'd rather. Taking a few moments. And we're going to get set up for a yin posture called the side seal. So for this, we're going to bring our left hand in front of us against the mat. We're going to bring our right hand down by our side and roll onto our left side. We can have our legs straight or bent, whatever is comfortable. And we can stay here, or if we like, we can extend the arm up and press up. So we have a couple options here. I'm gonna come back down to the lower variation because when I press up, it puts a little bit more pressure on my side for my lipedema. It's a little tough. Beautiful. And then we're gonna come back, rolling back onto the belly here. And we'll do the same thing on the opposite side. So again, bringing the right hand this time down, rolling onto the right side. We can bend the knees or have them straight. We can stay down or we can press up. And again, we don't have to do the same thing on either side. We can do whatever feels good for the side we're on. Beautiful, and we're ready. We'll come back down, roll back onto the belly. From here, we're going to transition into a hip opener called half frog. So I like to start in Sphinx, back with the elbows beneath the shoulders, palms forward. I'm going to grab a block and place it near my head so that I have the option to lower my head if I choose. If you like, you can also put the head directly on the mat. I have a larger belly and chest, so this way my head doesn't hang when I relax. And then from here, I'm going to go ahead and bring my right knee off to the side. And I'm going to see if I can bring it about parallel with the hip, but wherever feels good is where we want to stay. And again, we can bring the foot out so that it's hanging directly down from the knee, or if we prefer and it's more comfortable, we can have the foot closer to the body, whatever feels good here. So if we like, we can stay in the Sphinx position. If we prefer, we can rest the head down against the mat. And if we also want a really intense back bend, we can press up through seal here. So we have lots of options depending on what we're feeling like today. And we'll be holding this for about 2 minutes. So if at any point you're like, yeah, that's enough, feel free to straighten the leg out, do anything you need to do to feel more comfortable. Beautiful. So whenever we're ready, we can stretch the leg back out so it's next to our left leg. And then we'll bring the left knee up. Again, choosing whatever position feels best on this side of the body. And we'll be here for another 2 minutes. we can slowly extend the leg, coming back through neutral. And from here, we're going to make our way into a reclined position, however we would prefer to. So we can roll over onto the back, come down however is comfortable. And once we're reclined, if we like, we can raise the knees, placing the feet on the mat. Taking a moment here, making any movements we need to feel comfortable. And then if we like, we'll start to windshield wipe the knees. So maybe taking a large inhale, and on the exhale, bringing the knees down towards the right side of the body. On our next inhale, we'll come back up and exhale on the opposite side. We'll inhale back up. Now, if we like, we can bring the feet out along the edges of the mat, and that will up the intensity, or we can bring the feet closer together, and that will decrease the intensity. But we'll continue windshield wiping, exhaling down, inhaling up for about the next minute or so. So if we notice anywhere that's sticky and we want to hold the position, we can do that. Or we can just move from one side to the other. Do what works best for your body right now. Beautiful. And whenever we're ready, we can bring our knees back through center. And we have a few different options. We're going to come into a spinal twist. So I'm going to lay out a few options and you can choose what works best for you. So the first option is to lift the knees, lifting the feet off the ground. And then we'll bring the knees down to the right side, doing our best to keep the shoulders against the mat. We can stretch the arms out in a T. So if this feels good, we can stay here. If this doesn't feel horribly comfortable, we might come back through center, bring the left ankle onto the right knee, and then lower the left foot towards the ground. Sometimes this makes things a little bit more comfortable. So choosing whichever option works best for us. We'll be on this side for about 2 minutes. Something else that can be nice is we can always bring our left hand to the low back, maybe offer a little bit of compassionate self-touch or light massage to the low back. Or we can leave our arms wherever they're comfortable. And whenever we're ready, we might begin to draw the knees back up towards center. And then exhaling, bringing them down towards the opposite side. Or planting the feet on the ground, raising the right ankle to the left knee and lowering the right foot towards the ground on the left side of the body. Again, we have all the same options here. And we'll be here for another 2 minutes. Whenever we're ready, we'll slowly begin to bring the knees back through center. Placing the feet on the ground. Again, we can take a few more windshield wipes if we like. And from here, we'll transition into our final resting position. So if we like, we can stretch the legs out for Shavasana. Or come into any other position that is comfortable for us. Once we find our position, we'll take a few deep breaths, maybe in through the nose, out through the mouth if that's helpful for us. We'll come back to our grounding, noticing that connection down through the props, down through the floor, down through the mat. All the way down to the earth below. We'll notice that connection to the earth itself and the unconditional support that it provides. We'll allow ourselves to be heavy, to be supported, to be held by the earth. And we'll begin, if it's comfortable for us, to bring an image to our mind's eye of a place where we feel completely comfortable, completely at home. This might be the space that we're in. This might be a place that is well known to us, a place that we've been often. Could be something made from our own imagination or a place that we've visited, a memory. But wherever it is, we'll begin to see it around us. We'll notice the sound of this comfortable space. What do we hear? Do we hear natural sounds like water, wind, the rustling of grass? Do we hear music, or the voices of loved ones. There's no right or wrong answer. We'll just notice what it is we're hearing. We'll begin to look around. We might notice if we're outside, if we're inside. What do we see around us? We'll begin to notice the sense of this comfortable space. Do we smell water, woods, cologne? We'll begin to notice what we're doing in this space. Are we walking, wandering? Are we reclined as we are here? If so, what are we resting against? What does it feel like? We'll take the next few minutes in this space, allowing ourselves to do whatever it is we feel we need to do in this moment, whether it is rest, relax, wander. The space and time is ours to do what we need. comfortable where we are, we of course can stay here. But if we'd rather, we might start to slowly notice the sounds of the space that we're currently in. We might begin to notice the scents in the air and the sensation of the body against the mat or props. We might start to slowly bring a bit of movement into the body, maybe wiggling the fingers, the toes, the head or neck. If we like, we can bring any other intuitive movement into the body that feels good. Maybe taking a few big, wide stretches or anything else that feels good in our body. Before maybe gently rolling onto the right or left side and pressing up to a seated position. If we like, we can bring the hands to heart center or place them anywhere against the body that feels good. And we'll take 3 breaths together in a way that's comfortable for us. We'll take a moment to thank ourselves for our practice today, for making space for what we need. And I'd like to thank you so much for sharing your practice with me today.